Hey folks, happy Monday. Hope you're doing all right. It's been a pretty busy sort of a weekend and I've buggered me knee. Not complaining about it, just saying buggered me knee. Isn't it a bugger? Twisted it somewhere, not doing well. Did a heap of walking around on Saturday at a caravan camping show in the Redlands, which was lovely. But managed to go and twist myself, so I'm feeling a bit sick and sorry. Been wanding myself with the iTerra wand, and I've been putting Comfrey on there. I don't know that Bone Builder is what I need, but at any rate, starting to feel a little bit better. I tell you, I'm sure you and I certainly have suffered at some point in our time in the last couple of years. We've suffered at the hands of the fact checkers, the censors that have been thrown over our social media posts and denied our truth and our free speech. Have you ever wondered who's actually behind all that? And how would you go about finding out who's behind all that? Well, that takes somebody who needs to know a lot about the background of government, needs to understand how to read and keep reading and follow thin threads. And there is such a lady. Luckily, she's a friend of the family. And she is basically the right hand of Cass Smith at Freedom Financial Solutions. Can I welcome to the show for the very first time the lovely Mary Jane? Hello. Thank you for coming on.
Hi, Carl. How are you going?
Look, I'm in awe. I've read your reports over the weekend at the amount and volume of work that you have put into finding out who these bastards are that fact check us, that censor us, and where their power comes from. You are to be congratulated. It's quite staggering, the amount of detail that you've uncovered. And I see Chris Kenny's probably going to get your thunder out of this, but I know you were well over this before Chris Kenny published an article in the Australian a little while ago. So can you just explain what put you on this hunt? What made you start this journey?
Well, look, thanks for having me for a start. Usually I like to hide behind the scenes and I like to support you and Catherine from Freedom Financial Solutions and a whole range of freedom fighters from behind the scenes. So this is a little bit uncharted territory for me coming in front of the camera. So please bear with me. But look, and also this is not... it's not something that everybody can't do. In fact, it's something that everybody should and can do. And that's what I'm hoping to lead people through here today. But how it came across my radar was quite simply, as you said, this article here, Chris Kenny in The Australian. It was a very difficult article to get into, but buried right in the last third of it was this little paragraph. If anyone needs convincing on this crucial stand for free speech, they only need to consider what happened during the pandemic. Now, I follow a lot of the senators' works very closely, and thanks to the dogged freedom of information applications by Liberal Senator Alex Antic, the government secretly censored online COVID posts for 3 years during the pandemic. So I followed this thread. I thought, well, that's interesting. And I had actually seen the Senate estimates video from this, but until this article came up, I hadn't really taken the time to look into it. And it does take a bit of digging, but that's something that can be fun for a lot of people. And Once we dug into it, then we find the path, we create the path for other people to follow. So that's what I'm hoping to take you through today.
All right. Well, where should we begin then? How does it all start? I post something up, which I believe in my heart to be true as those that would deny it believe that it's not true. So, how does it all start? Where do we begin?
Well, that's a great question to start with. And so before I sort of delve into the nitty-gritty of Senate estimates, which is something that most people would not have a clue about, what I came across in this, and I do want to acknowledge that there are other men and women who help feed into my understanding, just like I'm feeding into your understanding and hopefully the viewers' understanding. So it's not about me. There are a lot of people working to uncover this. So what is truth? And most of us hear the terms misinformation, disinformation, but does anyone really understand the matrix of it? So what I wanted to show here is just down here on my second reference material. And by the way, I'm going to give this little summary with the links and with this matrix to you to post with this video. So
thank you. We will put it up on the Voice of Freedom website. I'll get Vince to pop it up there. It'll be on the front page for the show.
Great. Well, so what is truth? And that's a great question. You and I would know, like this is a cup, right? Yep, this is a cup. That's the truth. Yep. But interestingly, if the government decides, no, that's no longer a truth, that's no longer true, we're going to call that a ship, then it no longer becomes true. And so if you look at this matrix, the concept of true is whatever the government says it is. And readers of 1984 will well know the Ministry of Truth is not what you and I would see with our own eyes as true. It's what the government says is true. So that's the first place to start. Well, then you've got this matrix. Over here is what the government says is false. So in this scenario, this is a ship. So therefore, saying it's a cup is false. Now, if I say it's a cup, and that's not going to hurt anyone, then they'll call that misinformation. But if I call it a cup and the government considers it's potentially going to cause harm to people, that's what they call disinformation. So that's how you differentiate those two. If it's the government says it's not true, but it's going to cause harm, that's disinformation. If it's not going to cause harm and it's not true, then that's misinformation. What the government doesn't talk about is this thing over here where actually this is a cup. But the government says by calling this a cup, it has the potential to cause harm. So let's talk about in the case of the last 3 years, if we say, for example, this, as we know, according to Australian Bureau of Statistics numbers, actually is causing harm and injury, and in fact the recovery rate is no less than the normal flu and colds. So it's actually true, even according to the government statistics, but they have determined it has the potential to cause harm. That's what they call malinformation. And you don't hear a lot about malinformation, or you don't hear anything. Have you heard about malinformation?
No, never.
No.
Not until you brought it up.
Yeah, well, that's something just to keep in the back of your mind that you can
actually... Well, let's just explain that. Yeah. Just explain that. So if the government believes that the cup is a cup, but the people knowing that it's a cup could cause harm, then they can change it to whatever they want.
Well, they will then censor it. So this is the censorship matrix. This is how they determine what you're allowed to put out there publicly. And what you're allowed to put out there publicly is not actually the truth. It's permitted speech. So it's what's true, but doesn't cause harm. So let's go back to a real example with this malinformation. You can see, according to government statistics on the Australian Bureau of Statistics website, that that the recovery rates, and I'll show you that a bit later, the recovery rates from the thing that happened over the last 3 years that we've been told to fear greatly is actually around about the same as the cold or flu. So therefore it's true, even according to what the government says. But the government's agenda or aim was for everybody to be protected. So therefore, the release or the highlighting of their own statistics has the potential to cause harm. In this case, harm is defined as potentially people might back off from this. So therefore, they'll put it into this basket of censored speech, which is called malinformation. So what you're allowed to put out there in the public is permitted speech. So I don't know, that smacks of Brave New World or New 1984, but sadly, I think after our generation, people read 1984. Yeah. I don't know.
I think that's probably a salient point. People should go back and watch the movie, if not read the book. There was a great movie. I think John Hurt was in it from memory. But the book itself, I remember studying the book. I must have been in, I don't know, year 10 or year 11. And we did the book for English. It was the only book I read that year in English that I actually enjoyed because it was so horrifying.
Yes, and spoiler alert, it's not a happy book, but it's a very thin
No.
book. It's a very readable, small book, and in fact, that could be the subject of another thing that you might go through. As you know, what do you call it? Cliff notes of 1984, because it is
Yeah.
everything that's in that book is absolutely happening today.
Yep,
So,
100%.
what did Senator Antic actually discover, as alluded to in that article? Well, so now we've got this framework of what is allowed to be said according to this government matrix. This is not, the government hasn't published this, but this is what we know from people we've spoken to inside the government. This is how they operate. So this is a wonderful document that you're just looking at it makes you want to fall asleep immediately. So grab your coffee. So let me first of all show you how I found this document. Now I need to find a little.
I'm so glad you're going to show us how you found that document, because I've been looking for it for an hour this morning to bring it up myself.
Okay. Well, I've got the reference material here. Now, you can't just click on a link to take you to it. You have to actually follow these instructions. So it's the Australian Parliament House website. So you can. Oh, sorry. I'll need to just. There we go. There is. I'll put that over there so we can look at that, and I'll bring up this, oopsies, another little thing here, and I'll drag that across. Sorry, right. So Australian Parliament House gov.au. Let's just go to that main website, because this is a useful website that you shouldn't be afraid of. It does hold lots of interesting, juicy secrets. So you go to aph.gov.au. You click on the Senate. Now, I'll just scroll down here, select, so it goes to parliamentary. You click on the Senate, you scroll down here, work of the Senate. Oh, no, you go to estimates. This is what it is, estimates. So this is Senate estimates. Now, down here, you have to click on more options. And this is where we fill in this information. It's Antic, Senator Antic. Home Affairs, that's his portfolio. Oopsies, there we go, Home Affairs. Question number 146. You can see down here on my screen, 146.
Oh, yeah.
Almost like I've looked for it before.
Almost.
Okay, and then this will come up. Now, you can download this. That's the easiest way to do it. Download selected. Okay, so you download it as a PDF. So I'm not going to waste your time doing that. I am going to refer to something that I have previously downloaded, which is this document. Right. So this is the Senate Standing Committee on Legal and Constitutional. Sorry. Okay, right. But this is where a lot of really interesting stuff comes up. So we've got a few great champions, Senator Antic, Senator Rennick, the UAP senator, whose name just escapes me for the moment.
Abbott. That's
the one. And, of course, Senator Malcolm Roberts. This question, Senator Antic had asked in reference to an earlier discussion that they'd had, does the Department of Home Affairs maintain a database or spreadsheet of the 4,213 COVID-related content referrals referred to in the referrals document referred to above? Okay, so they're referring to an earlier conversation. And they have this session was in answer to that question. He'd said, if so, please provide a full unredacted copy of the database or spreadsheet. Unredacted means that there's no big black lines covering up important information.
Yeah.
Quite surprisingly, the department provided an almost unredacted spreadsheet.
Wow.
It was quite remarkable that this actually happened. So, and this is so it says the department's referral of misinformation and disinformation to social media platforms for review against their terms of service are attached. The department has made minor redactions, and believe me, they are minor, of content on the basis of advice from other national security agencies that the content could damage Australia's national security or breach obligations of confidentiality in relation to victims of cyber incidences. Now, just one thing before we look at the spreadsheet, which is a Home Affairs, Department of Home Affairs spreadsheet. This is one department, one government department among many government departments that are likely to be doing a similar thing. That's something that is, potentially somebody we can dig into that further, but let's start with this one. But I just wanted to let people know that this is not the only reference document that there is available. Now, let's look at the reference document. First, look here. This is the first page out of 326 pages. So there are 325 pages of listed censored articles. Now, unfortunately, they didn't provide it in an Excel spreadsheet form. So this is a PDF version, which is very hard it's more of a challenge to navigate. So in here, what is in here? Let's have a little look at the table, not the table, but the top row, which tells you what each of these columns is. And I just want to point this out to start with, and I'll enlarge this so you can see it. So you've got item number 1. This is started on the 16th of March 2020. That's obviously, item number 1 is obviously a tester. And then you can tab across. You've got the date, description of content. And as you can see, it's a bit hard to navigate. Here we go. Contractor reason for referral. Okay, so that's interesting. I don't know about you, but who did you think was doing the censorship when we discovered that the government was looking at censoring what we were doing or referring it to Facebook and so on?
Well, I thought they just employed the meta minions, to be honest, but it goes a bit deeper, clearly.
Well, I live in Canberra. I worked in the government, and I sort of assumed there was some, junior public servants digging into it. We're Australians.
Yeah.
This is Australia. I assumed that our Australian public servants would be doing the censoring. Now, as we saw even here in this article, government censors work hard to decide what we're allowed to see. So government censors, to me, I think public servant, but there's a contractor, so it's been contracted out. Well, that's interesting. We'll dig into that in a bit later. Platform. So you've got Facebook. This spreadsheet, I believe, having looked into it, is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, I think, are the 3 platforms that have been censored in this spreadsheet. Now, then you go across link category, meets. Now, this is the SCIC is like the security. I have to remember what that is. I can't remember exactly what that is, but it's a particular committee, meets their thresholds, yes or no. Assessment. This is interesting what they've decided as their assessment. And then here you've got the referral date. So it was uploaded on the 16th. It was referred on the 16th. That's the same day. Then what's happened? It's referred to digital industry, referred to a different task team, referred to AFP Joint Intelligence, referred to other relevant agency.
Yes.
Referred to the CFI task force, unable to refer now. And then this is the column that you want to be looking for. Platform outcome. Some are no action and some are content removed. But the reason I'm showing you this is that along here, the second last column, trim, that is Hewlett-Packard software system for managing records. I think it's something record information management system. It's a system that the government uses to manage their record keeping. Now, if you scroll down here, and you'll see some numbers. They're trim numbers. So there's more information available regarding this particular content removed item in these government records. So where I'm going with this is freedom of information requests. This is a public document. You can go in, you can find a record, and then you can request more information using this number. So as an example, shall I show you an example?
Yes, please.
All right. Well, I posted quite a few things, and
Good girl.
So and a couple of them disappeared. I can't remember exactly what disappeared, what was flagged. But what I did here is just Control F, and I just put in my Facebook name. Oh, something's come up. Oh, here we go. Now, if it doesn't come up on the first try, you might have to scroll down because, again, it picks up data in a certain range. So so that looks interesting. I wonder why my name shows up. Oh, it is indeed something that I posted on the 27th of June 2022, which is only just over a year ago, which surprised me. So I do want to just say something here that I potentially had more removed previously, and they don't show up on this spreadsheet. And that's why I mentioned that there are other spreadsheet or other records that are probably being kept somewhere, or indeed Facebook itself, without being referred to from the Australian government, decided to take the post down. So if you're looking for yours that you know at some stage had been taken down and you can't find it in here, it doesn't mean that the government, I don't know what it means, to be honest. It might just mean that Facebook took it down because they had their own set of rules, or it was referred through another Australian government department.
Can you type in my name and see what you get? Because I spent pretty much most of 2021 off, banned from Facebook, and good chunks of 2022.
What's your Facebook? Is Voice of Freedom?
Just Carl with a C and Liebold, Liebold. Look for the one with the rabbit ears. Oh, you won't see it in this.
So this is searching. Let's just see. Next. Yeah, no, it's.
So you don't put spaces into your name, or just whatever name
it
is.
How does yours show up?
With a space. CARL. Yeah, CARL space.
Oh, and there's another L. Oh, well, that's my just terrible spelling. Okay, but in your Facebook listing, it wouldn't have a space?
Yeah, it does. I'm pretty sure. Oh. Hang on.
Or an underscore.
Bring it up. I'll bring it up and have a look.
Okay.
I haven't been there in a while. I thought they banned me recently.
But let's say, do you know Michael Sims? I worked a lot with the MVR Australia, so the Millions March Against Mandatory Vaccine Australia. So there you go.
There you go.
And he's got 4 there. Now, I know for a fact that he we had multiple things disappeared. So there you go. That there's this one.
You mentioned that these are just a portion. So 4,200 and a bit under 4,300. Just in this document, but there could be other agencies, other departments. Do we take from that they're not the same 4,200 plus people in there? That number could be exponentially larger.
Well, and these are great questions that the technical expertise of Senator Antic and Rennick and Malcolm Roberts, they can ask the questions that can help unveil this. So that's where what we're looking. Well, what I'd love to see now, and I'm taking you through how to do it, is that each man and woman who is listed in here sends a Freedom of Information request to the Department of Homelands to get more information, and we dig into it that way. That will then, create, oh my gosh, what's going on? And that will then help or put energy into keeping what they're asking for in the Senate, help it keep going. Because this one article, the only article that appeared that was actually questioning this was in the Australian. And there was only one other article I saw which was really dismissive. It's, no, don't worry about that. And so it didn't get a run in the mainstream media. So it's up to us, the individual men and women, to really start putting the pressure on the government to release more information. So Mike Sims is in here. Who else might be in there? Dave O'Neig's. There's somebody else I know has been banned a lot. Leo, I think is what. There you go. He's in here. So there are a lot of people, and I don't know. And there's a lot of groups as well. If you know your group number, you can look through this and you can find it. Now, what? Let's look at mine again as an example, because I mean, I was a nothing burger in the scheme of things. I was just one person out there. So what have they said about mine? So it says a Facebook video claiming that the boogie virus is no more dangerous to people than the common cold or flu. And look at this. It's the 1 minute and 26 mark to the 1 minute 26 and 45 mark. That's what they're doing, looking into this. That, for them to have actually...
So 20 seconds long, a 20-second long sentence. Yeah, wow.
So they're looking for any excuse to remove anything that here attempts to undermine public confidence in this program.
Yeah.
That's oops, what have I done there? But anyway, so let's just now look across here. Okie dokie. So this is the denial. It was referred. Content is misinformation that violates one or more specific platform rules. So this is interesting. This is a government referral, but it's talking about violating platform rules of a private company. Okay. Well, just more questions. It was referred on the 28th. So this was posted on the 27th, referred the next day. So they've got an army of people in this. And then we go right over here and the content was removed. Now, unfortunately, here there is no number. There's no trim record. So there's no government record number for me to refer to. But that doesn't matter, and I'll get to that in a minute. But first of all, in terms of the content, what is true? So let's just have a look at my next, not here, my next little, so my censorship, right. So now, my censorship health stats, I just need to find this little document here. Just bear with me one moment.
No worries.
I had everything except this one up and ready to go.
We are hopeful that Malcolm Roberts and Senator Rennick and Senator Antic are going to push these points. I know that they are aware of them. So I guess nobody's sitting in Canberra for the next 3 or 4 weeks anyway, so there's not going to be any questions asked in that time frame.
No. Well, so I think we know that the hang on. No, not that one. All right. I think we know that the recovery rate from the boogie virus was 99.7 something percent.
Yep.
And I do have that. I had it ready, and I don't know where it's gone. Here we go. But they have removed a post based on the fact that, and I don't think it was me saying it. I think it was somebody else who was actually a doctor, potentially the likes of Peter McCullough and one of the official voices, because I always posted things that were from a very reliable medical or official source with actual statistics. So we all know that it's about 99.7%. So let's just have a look at the 2019 flu season statistics, mortality statistics. Right, so the number was the number of deaths reported. Now I did this. Okay, so let's look at this. They don't do it in percentages to make it easy, do they? 1 death per 328 notifications. So again, you can easily what you just type in here, 1 in 328 as a percentage. You can just look at that. So that is 1 in 328 is 0.3. 0.3.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Now, what I wanted to show you was this. Now, I just need to find this particular document. Sorry, this is an Australian Health Department of Health. Let's go code. reporting. Okay. Now, July. I'm going to do July 2. Epidemiology report is what it was. Statistics, July 2. Sorry about this. I had this and
no, that's all right.
link has actually.
Sometimes we got to find these things.
Okay. Where is it? Somehow mysteriously disappeared. That's interesting. Now it's
They do that.
No. Well, the good news is that all these reports are actually up there. Let's just a second. No. Epidemiology publications. Come on, go. And I will put this in the link when I fix it up and send it to you. I'll just.
No worries.
Pretty sure I had this one. Okay. But just bear with me, Carl, if you want to.
No worries, Mary Jane. Yep, no worries. You just take your time. We'll. Actually, there's a couple of the things I'll talk about while you're searching, if I may.
Yep.
Some interesting things happening in Western Australia at the moment, folks, particularly with the University of Western Australia. Now, I've only just started reading a very deep and involved email about it, but it seems like if you want to go and study medicine or health, nursing, psychology, anything like that, but particularly medicine at the moment, in future or currently, you will have to prove that you've had at least 11 vaccines, those mandated from childhood all the way through, and that you are up to date with the latest jibbity jabs. So if you are currently a second-year student and you have an offer, obviously, to finish that course, you have to provide all your details by the 1st of November this year. That's proof. You have to provide proof of what they've jabbed into you over your life, or you will not be invited back to continue your offer next year. And if you are a third year, same deal. You've got to provide everything before the 1st of November. So this is a pretty horrible thing that the West Australian government is forcing upon the universities. Of course, there is no mandate at the moment for any of that to continue on. I don't know if Western Australia have blithely gone on and continued it, but at this point, you will not be offered. If you are a kid, year 11, year 12 student at the moment, if you are not prepared to provide the proof of your jab status from birth all the way through, then you will not be given an offer to study medicine. So my guess is there's going to be a lot of Western Australian kids coming east to try and study medicine, and God help the universities over here if they start trying to do that. We know, Western Australia is probably as out of control as Victoria is, but my God, that's pretty shocking news.
Well,
so we'll do more on that in the next few days, folks.
Yeah, and again, I was this is bringing it to the fore. It's very clearly showing what the pharmacological, the allopathic medical system is all about, and is it about your true health, or is it about something else? And as we know, we, each man and woman, we can look after our own health very, very well if we remove all the toxins. I'm not saying that if I had a car crash, emergency and accident, bloody hell, I want to go to hospital. Apart from that, I never want to see a doctor or go to hospital ever again.
Yep, so, I feel the same way.
Yeah, so I found it, and I apologise for that. But
that's all right. Where you go?
The link is here. And this is on page 13 of the Department of Health Government report below, that this is from the actual 2nd of July 2023. This here shows you the mortality rate associated with the boogie virus. Okay, so let's say it's 0.05%. But when you include the older 60 plus, it jumps up to 0.19%. So if you then go back to the Australian influenza, which was 1 in 328, which was 0.3%.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's actually less than death from cold or flu. And if you also look at the cold or flu stats, they interestingly miss the stats from, that was from 19, but we'll look at this one.
I think it's 2020, isn't it? That nobody caught the cold then.
2020, 2021, they actually don't include the stats, interestingly. Now, let's look here at death. I had this as well. This was similarly on par or less than severity. Here it is. Oh, it was 1.4. Here it is. 0.14%.
0.14.
Okay, so a 0.03% higher mortality rate in the COVID one, SARS-CoV-2, than in 2022. So what we're saying here is then the government, according to the Australian Government Health Statistics, my post, so we'll go back to my post, was that COVID-19 is no more dangerous to people than the common flu or cold is arguably demonstrably true.
Yeah.
And yet it was removed. So there's an interesting question. So I'd like to know more about this. I want to know who made those decisions. But I don't have a trim record. So when I write to the Department of Health to ask for more information, it would strengthen my case to be able to direct them to where they can dig in and find that information, which leads me to this other very interesting. So that was my censorship. So Senator Rennick's discovery. So let me just go here. So Senator Rennick, oops, not that one. Senator Rennick here. Oh, that was Alex Antic. Senator Rennick here has also, so we go to the same Australian Parliament House.gov.au website. We go to Senate. I'm not going to go through it again because you can go back and see where I go. You plug this information here, Rennick, Gerard, Home Affairs, 2023-24 budget estimates, and put in the number 43. And then you can download this document. And this is really interesting. And this, thank you, Senator Rennick, for uncovering this. And it seems even he was surprised by this. So let me just read a little bit of the conversation. So Senator Rennick saying, Minister Watt, why is your government still censoring social media posts? And then a representative of the department says, look, I've just come to, can I come in and help direct that question in terms of what you were saying about the pandemic having been declared over? In earlier evidence, I did note that the current contract ends on the 30th of June and we will not be renewing it. And Senator Rennick says, the contract? Which contract's that? Good on him. So this is what this is about. This is a contract, and this is what was in the the documents I was talking about earlier, that there was a contract that the Australian government put out to tender and secured with an external provider. So Ms. Hawkins says we did have an external provider. Okay. And
right.
Rennick asked for a copy of that contract. And that is what is here.
Oh.
Commonwealth Contract Consultancy Services. Now, this is with World Services Australia, Pty Ltd. But when we actually go down to see who it is actually with, it is with a company called, I'm just going to scroll through all this, the redacted bits, the name and the person from the actual department. You can see a lot of information here, but we go down to it and it's actually with Saatchi and Saatchi, not Saatchi and Saatchi, their parent company, S&C. Here we go, sorry. Oops. Where's it gone down?
I can actually bring it up and share it there.
Oh, there it is. Here we go.
M&C.
M&C Saatchi World Services.
Yeah. So They are an interesting little mob. I'll show mine bit while we've got it.
Yep.
Our expertise, get a look at that. Social behavior change, marketing and communications is the top of the list. Strategic communications, reputation management and brand building, end-to-end digital capabilities, creative production, media. They're the kind of people, folks, who make the trauma videos that you see that they try and convince you things are happening with. Global network of specialist and local delivery partners. That means they've got trauma actors in every country just about. Public advocacy. Yeah, not for us, though. Data, training, and, no area they don't reach. And, of course, you will know the name Saatchi from Saatchi and Saatchi. They are the advertising agencies, of course. So I think Saatchi's have changed now in quite have other business partners involved. But this M&C Saatchi, social behavior change, marketing and communications, right off the top of the bat, I have to say, Mary Jane, pretty frightening stuff.
Well, yes, but we're finding it and we're seeing it. And I just want to draw your attention, if you can see my screen or you're showing it on your screen, the cover of this is called, SOW stands for Scope of Work and Budget Proposal. So I hope your viewers can see what's on this. Can you see it there?
That is a face with many hands blocking the eyes behind it. There's a picture behind the writing, folks. Can you see it? Blow it up a little bit more, maybe.
Mary Jane, yeah. Look at the hands. You can see there's a face and there's, 20-something hands or more covering the eyes.
Covering the eyes.
So this is a case where a picture says more than 1,000 words. And certainly those words that we would want to say would be censored anyway, according to this. So but that's what it says. This is our scope of work budget proposal. See, nothing. So
keep people blind.
Yeah. So the reason I'm drawing your attention to this document is, number one, it exists. So what this means is that the Australian government has outsourced to a UK-based company. This is a UK-based company, so not even an Australian company, the authority to refer posts by Australians to the government departments with certain recommendations about what happens. And on that note, for example, in the US, they are protected by the First Amendment, freedom of speech. Unfortunately, we don't yet have a Bill of Rights in Australia, which I would say we really need. But they do in the US. So a US medical expert like Dr. Peter McCulloch has every right to say what he knows to be true. Now, so he is protected. His speech is protected by the First Amendment. But what's happening here in Australia is that if I, as an Australian, are posting something that he said to be true, he's protected, but then we've got an external UK-based agency censoring something that I've posted of someone whose rights are protected. Like, that totally shows you the scope of everything is going new, one world order. Nobody's respecting any national protections, especially not the rights of the United States medical professionals to speak the truth. So that's a whole nother level that I don't really want to focus on in this. I want to empower men and women to be able to, number one, tell the government, I see what you've done, I want more information, and I'm not going to let it go. So that's where I'm going with this. And why is this particular document important? It's because down here, I'll enlarge it again, scope of work and budget proposal, it says the main reporting deliverables are 3 weekly referral reports of content, fortnightly statistical works, weekly referral catalogue, and ad hoc requests as required. So they have got additional documents relating to their censorship referrals in these, in this scope of work that is being paid for by you, mind you, by us. You, me, the Australian taxpayer, are paying not an inconsiderable amount. This schedule of payments here, in fact, is not nowhere near. It was quite a lot more than that. I'm not going to talk about the funds now, which we'll talk about another time. But the point of this is we've got another source of additional information. So what have I done? And I'm always about action. It's like, yep, we can talk and talk and talk till the cows come home. But change only happens when you make a choice to take action. So I have done this. I'm just one woman.
Yep.
And so I have put my name on it, email, Freedom of Information, Department of Home Affairs. Now, I chose at this stage when I sent it in last week just to kind of fly under the radar, do it straight to the Freedom of Information Department. I have not had a reply back yet. But now, once this goes out and more men and women are doing it, I may resubmit it and include the minister in it. But I didn't want any alarm bells ringing until more men and women were on board and taking action, because I wanted to make sure that this information gets out. So all I say is I'm seeking access under the Freedom of Information Act 1982 to records that contain any documents, emails, reports, or other material, including but not limited to TRIM and or other departmental records, M&C Saatchi World Services weekly referral and other reports, asterisks, emails and correspondence relating to the Department of Home Affairs selection, review, consideration and or decisions relating to my social media post made on Facebook on 27th of June 2022 with a referral date of 28 June 2022 and platform outcome of content removed. Now, don't worry if it's not been removed. If it says not removed, still make a request, because you can still get more information about who's talking about what behind the scenes. And then the link to the now removed post is that. I just copied and pasted it from that table. This is all public knowledge. There's no secret squirrel stuff here. You're not going to get in trouble. It's all out there on in the Senate estimates reports. Then I did a screenshot of not the whole thing because it would be too small, just the important bits with the date, bit of the content, the platform, and the link. So the above screenshot is a partial extract referring to my social media post that was removed, extracted from page 261 of the document. So you put this page in, and then page 261 of this document, and then I put the whole name of the document, which I copied and pasted from the document, which is publicly available to download from the aph.gov.au website. Now, the asterisk that I put in above then goes down below to say M&C Saatchi World Services Weekly and other reports refers to the, and then I go through in great detail
everything they list, yeah.
And the reason I've gone into all this length is basically I'm saying anything.
Yep.
Anything that you have
on you. Yep. Send it to me.
I want it. And you
have to ask in a specific way, don't you? Because they take you very literally, and they'll use the loophole. Oh, you didn't actually we know what you're asking for, but you didn't actually ask for it, so we'll give you what you don't want.
Exactly.
Yes.
And the only thing that you really need to say, because you can say anything you like, is this: that I'm seeking access under this particular act. And then you can say whatever you like. But I put everything and the dog and the kitchen sink in that, and I have made a little template for you. So all you need to do is the highlight of the yellow bits, and when you do it, obviously unhighlight it, your name, your email address. Now, just so you know, on the Department of Home Affairs website, there is a submit box thing where you can put it in, submit box. I didn't do that, and you don't have to do it that way. You can do it this way. This is much simpler. The actual submit box is designed to make you frustrated and give up. So I would just copy and paste this and send it in. I would also, and I may well, if I don't get a reply from the FOI department by the end of the week, I'll resend it and include this section. So if you include the minister, take out the word optional, obviously, and unhighlight it. And then all you have to do is find where it says on your date, the date that you had it, the referral date, the link to your post, which was copied from the table. Do copy the screenshot for the first 6 columns, and then put the name, page number in it. You can easily do that, and then your name, and all the rest of it you don't have to worry about. It's sort of a coverall, so that's designed to make it easy. So that's what you can do.
Wonderful. That's something that we can get started with straight away. We'll have this packet uploaded onto the website and people can make full use of it at vofhq.com. Mary Jane, thank you for the work you've put into this. How long has this taken you?
Oh, look, once you get going, you dig into it. And if you know your way around the Australian Parliament House website or Senate estimates, and if you know they're just documents and you sort of read past all the blah, 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 it doesn't take that long. So it was just a couple of weeks because I do have a full-time job here at Freedom FFS. So, but once I was just curious. But once I started looking and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm in there. This is crazy stuff.
It's amazing, and thank you so much for actually going and finding a way through the maze that they create deliberately to frustrate us, to set us off the scent. They just try and make it too hard, and I think anybody who's working with any kind of big corporation or particularly government department knows that their job today is not to help provide service to the people. Their job is to frustrate them at all costs, and they're doing a bloody good job of it. Can I also thank you from a personal note for everything that you've done to help support the Voice of Freedom too, since we've had our meeting together, and I love coming down to the office in Canberra and seeing you girls, and the only guy that I think, unless you've gone out on an employment spree.
I know we've got three now. We've got three.
Oh, have you? Whoa, gone through the roof. Look out. Well, say hi to the team and say hi to Cass, and look forward to seeing her. She's coming up here for our launch in the not too distant future. I've got to have a talk to her today at some stage too. Oh, you're coming too? Look out. It's going to be wild.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
just on that, just finally, I do want to, men and women listening to this to know that we're not going to leave you hanging. I would very much be happy to hear from you if you do put a Freedom of Information request in, and then maybe we can set up a little, private Zoom time to chat to the men and women who have done it, to hear what's happened, what the results are, and maybe that can, even if people don't want to go public, they can share what the results are going forward. So that it keeps momentum, it keeps energy. I mean, you've got to keep the pressure on, and then that can also then fuel the likes of all the senators, the like-minded senators up there. So, we're not going to let this go.
Very empowering, that would be. Very empowering for others to see everybody rising in their own strength and doing this. Thank you again for the work you put in, Mary Jane. Just amazing stuff. And we'll have you back to do a part 2 on it, and probably a part 3 by the look of it.
God bless. All right, then. Thanks very much, Carl.
Thank you. Thank you. Right. So, folks, we'll make sure that those links go up onto the Voice of Freedom webpage. I'll have a chat with Vince and see if we can't get it arranged sooner rather than later, but they should be there by the time we get to the end of this.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!